Hello WWE fans, this is WeTalkWWE. I am David McCann.
And I'm Chris Wilson. Tonight's episode of We Talk WWE, we will be discussing the post Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Firstly, we would like to apologise as we missed the first three matches due to technical difficulties at the home. We just got to the John Cena match and the Randy Orton match had just started. But anyway, we'll get into it from the John Cena match from what we've seen. Obviously, John Cena won. Yeah, it was a good match. What do you think?
Yeah, it was, from what we seen, we missed the first, 10 minutes of it.
Yeah,
And
about
after that, I thought it was a very entertaining match. There's a couple of tables used. I wasn't expecting that in any other matches, but yeah, it was very entertaining. John Cena won. Randy Orton done his famous RKO out of nowhere, which, by the way, Michael Cole is
slowly ruining.
Yeah, by saying it every 2 seconds.
Yeah, every time an RKO comes, we're now hearing RKO out of nowhere, and it's gonna kill. It's gonna kill that vibe, which you don't want it to die.
And of course, John Cena yet again being the WWE
Playboy, if you wish.
yeah, by winning all the big matches. Doesn't matter who he faces, he always seems to win the big matches.
Yeah.
Let's hope he doesn't win the WWE title and Brock Lesnar defeats him.
Hopefully. Now, going on to the match, I think personally, I think Diddy's on the same wavelength as me here. We think that John Cena wasn't meant to win. We think Randy Orton was meant to win, because there was a moment in the match where Randy Orton did strain his back, and that was possibly because of the Hell in a Cell match on Raw, which he strained it.
Yes, that was looking back on Raw. If anyone has seen it this past week, you've seen Randy Orton doing a move in the announce table. He had landed in an awkward position, she would say, and he strained his back and his muscle disc in his spinal cord, and has resulted in him having back problems. And tonight, at the end of the match, you actually seen whenever John Cena applied the altitude adjustment through the table at the end of the match, you seen Randy Orton's face going into pain, and he's just decided himself that that's it, he can't go on and just let John Cena win the match. Because I think, and Chris has agreed with me, that Randy Orton would have won that match if that attitude adjustment hadn't happened, because the pain wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, fully agree on that. Definitely, there was moments you could tell that I don't think Randy Orton could have went on, because if you go to back to the main events, which we will cover, you see that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose actually waste a few minutes, which I believe was to catch up on time, to get time out of the way, because of the John Cena and Randy Orton match, because it did finish a wee bit early. But enough of that match. We will move on to the Sheamus and the Miz match, which was the United States Championship match. For us, it was a disappointing. It was a very boring match.
Yes, it was very disappointing.
I think I was watching more of Damien Mizdown than I was watching the match.
I agree with you there. He was probably the most entertainment bit of that match, doing all his funny acting outside the ring, performing all his stunt double maneuvers on himself. And I noticed that the end of the match, after the match is finished, Sheamus started to make a mockery of him by moving the Miz Dahl copied, and then doing the YMCA. I thought that was very highly entertaining and funny. And I also noticed that whenever Sheamus applied the second bro kick to the Miz after the match was finished, the referee went over to check Mizdow instead of the Miz. I found that very weird, because it wasn't the Miz.
I think the referee actually thought Damien Mizdown did get hit by the bro kick.
Yeah, I don't think the referee seen the second bro kick. I think he thought Damien had been hit and didn't realise that it was actually the Miz.
Now, do you think that there could be a twist between these two very soon? The Mizdown or Damien Mizdown, I should say, and the Miz. Do you think Royal Rumble, if both enter? Do you think there could be a?
Yeah, possibly. I think for me, and I think you agree with me on this one when we said Damien Mizdow will turn on the Miz and potentially throw him over the top rope. Maybe it could be the opposite way around, but I think the Royal Rumble could see the end of Damien Mizdow being the stunt double for the Miz.
Yeah.
If the Miz and Sheamus don't continue the rivalry going into the Royal Rumble.
Yep. I can see that happening as well. Now we'll go on to the Big Show Rusev match, which
was no surprise.
Yeah, there was no surprise in that match.
The only difference was is I called it right down in the middle, as you'll know in the pre-show, that I said Big Show will not tap, he'll not give up, he will just pass out. And Michael Cole, I don't know where he's seen the tap out. I did not see a tap out unless he has tapped out on the other side and the camera did not catch that.
I don't think he did because
but
both
I
hands.
honestly don't think he tapped out. I think he just passed out with the activated finisher. I call it after them couple of kicks to the head sustained after Mark Henry had talked to him in his ear. I think Big Show lost momentum. He lost the match. Rusev will go on undefeated, like I said, to either Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I hope, I said in my previous podcast, that I hope Kurt Angle comes back and defeats the streak, but maybe it's going to be John Cena. We know the WWE have a strong love for John Cena, not the fans but the company itself, so maybe they'll make him in the streak of Rusev because he's Mr. American himself. But for me, if anyone else should do it, I think it should be Bo Dallas. What do you think, Chris?
I'm not a big fan of Bo Dallas.
I'm not a big fan of Bo Dallas, but since he's this inspirational American talking man, Bo Dallas for some reason was called Bo Washington in the pre-show. I did not know why.
He's not undefeated anymore, sure he's not?
He's not undefeated, no, or Truth defeated him, but you have to believe, and hopefully believe, and Bo Dallas defeats the streak of Rusev and brings the pride back into
I'll agree
America.
on one thing. It will boost his career prospects, because at the moment he's only really fighting in pre-shows. I don't think I've seen him in any pay-per-views. Have you?
Yes, I seen him in the Intercontinental.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Over top rope Battle Royal in the last, but
he hasn't had a one-on-one.
Yeah, no, not in a long time. Well, enough of the Rusev Big Show matches. We know that was no surprise there. Now under the AJ Lee and Paige match. We both agreed on during the match that this should have been in the Hell in a Cell itself.
Very boring.
It was very boring. It's good to see that the Divas are now starting to become cool main event people. It's good to see that they're actually fighting more in the run up to the main event, giving the Divas a spotlight, I say. And for once, AJ Lee did not hear the CM Punk chants. It was slight reaction off the crowd off you hear AJ Lee. Only slight fans were shouting AJ Lee, but you heard. And also, I want to point out, I don't think that was meant to end the way it did, because I think
that was another injury. I think we do think Paige was injured in that match.
It was just during the match you did see AJ ramming Paige's head into the barricade, which we think it has caused a concussion to Paige, and that's why it resulted in her
tapped out really quickly.
Yeah, it resulted in her tapping out so quickly.
Because superstars don't usually tap out that quickly, especially that early into that match.
As soon as the submission was put on, she was tapping it before it was even locked in. That was strange, so she's obviously being concussed. And also for anyone who has seen that match and that incident, you will know, I like to say this, I would like to point this out, that in the background of that, we seen two fellas dress up as Mankind and Bray Wyatt, and to whoever you are, if you ever listen to this and see this video, congratulations, I applaud you for that, because you got them down to the T. I thought you looked fantastic. And going back on the match, I thought after the match, whenever Paige had turned on Alicia Fox, I thought that came a wee bit too soon. I thought maybe it was going to be the opposite way, where Alicia Fox turns on Paige if she had won the Divas Championship. What are your thoughts?
I thought the Paige I didn't expect Paige to turn on Alicia. I expected Alicia to turn on Paige, but only when Paige would have won the title. But
Yeah, that was very weird and interesting to
I
see.
wonder if that's Paige's end for the title. Do you think that'll be the end of her going for the title?
We'll see. We'll have to get more on obviously Raw tomorrow night and also in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. But going back to the start, it was a very boring match. I think the Hell in a Cell match, them being in the Hell in a Cell would have spiced the Diva division up and would have spiced that match up.
100%. But as we both know, and as everyone else knows, the WWE don't want to take that risk at this moment in time. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, we will see the first ever WWE Hell in a Cell match involving two females. Who knows? And I've also pointed out this as well. Why do we not see no female referees in the WWE? Is we're seeing the ring announcers, we're seeing the announcers, we're backstage analyst people like Renee Young, but why are we not seeing no female referees during female fights?
I know that's an interesting point. There is a company that does that, but we'll not mention them because we talk WWE, not we talk
other companies. Yes, right. That was an interesting ending to that discussion on the Divas division. Now moving on to the big, much anticipated match of the night, as we've seen Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and of course it lived up to his expectation straight from the beginning as the unstable Dean Ambrose gets to the top of the cage. Stands are waiting for Seth Rollins to come out, and of course Seth Rollins backs out of getting up himself, so he sends his henchmen of Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble up to get Ambrose himself, and then tries to do a sneak attack on Ambrose and backfires, and then both fight each other on the top, and then they both go down, and then boom, the big high risk maneuver of the night. They both fall off the side of the cage from 10 feet straight through the announce table. What do you think of that?
That was attitude. There was a wee attitude era feeling to it.
Yeah, it felt like if anyone can remember any older generation people who watched the first ever Hell in a Cell match of The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, you'll notice that Shawn Michaels was hanging on by one hand on the cell. Undertaker hit his hand and he fell through the announce table. It was sort of like that, only both came down and both went the opposite announce tables. It was interesting, and Dean Ambrose had a wee bit of mankind feel to him whenever getting on the stretcher. He just got off the stretcher and just wanted to go back into the ring after all that. And that was an interesting end to the match. I wasn't expecting Bray Wyatt coming that.
No.
But we did say there was going to be a twist to the match. You had called it just before that happened that you suspect lights to go out.
Yeah, there was a freeze moment.
Yeah,
where you said
and I said before the match I can see Bray Wyatt making an appearance because he hasn't been on TV in so long. He did, and we heard people talking in riddles, not being Eric Rowan or Luke Harper, as we both know, and as the Universe have seen the past few weeks, that they are being set free by the Wyatt, and that we believe that this is the new followers of Wyatt, the NXT superstars of Connor,
the Ascension,
and Victor, the new
Ascension,
Ascension, yes. So
they're the new Wyatts.
Yes. Well, the new followers of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Why do you think he's picked Dean Ambrose to start the feud with? Why Dean Ambrose? Why?
You couldn't really. The only other person that he could go against, which he's already done, is Kane. There's no one as mental. Well, you could say AJ, but he can't fight AJ.
Yeah, but it was interesting to say, because I was reading up the other day that the WWE creative team were thinking, who else could you start a feud with Dean Ambrose after his one with Seth Rollins in it? And
there is only Bray Wyatt.
We've got the answer. It is Bray Wyatt. So this could be the start of a fantastic feud between the psychotic, unstable, infringed Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, the leader of the company at the moment, as I see it. As once he steps out, he talks, the whole WWE crowd, the fans, just fall underneath his spell and start to what would you call love him.
Yeah, they fall for him.
It's never been seen before that they've took to a heel so quickly as much as they took to Bray Wyatt. He's just so entertaining to watch. He's so passionate about his work. He speaks words in riddles and he confuses you.
The thing
plays
is
with your
that
mind.
he's not scripted. That all comes from him.
Yes,
He just comes up
he's
with
the
that on the
modern
spot.
day era of the Undertaker in his Ministry of Darkness days, and I'm actually shocked that he's picked Dean Ambrose because I've heard that he wanted to fight the Undertaker and do a promo with the Undertaker for WrestleMania because he thinks it'd probably be the best promo
No,
of the modern day.
you know who I might have expected when the lights go off? This might sound a bit weird, but I thought Sting might have came out.
Yes, Sting. Yeah, well, we all know Sting has been mentioned to join the company. Maybe not yet, but who knows? He will. He looks certain to join the company. Maybe we will see Sting at a later stage. But do you think Bray Wyatt Sting feud going up to WrestleMania, if Sting doesn't fight the Undertaker, doesn't fight Kane, or doesn't fight Triple H, Bray Wyatt Sting, do you think that would be an interesting one? Sting being the mental unstable himself he was in TNA and WCW, and then you have Bray Wyatt being the new fringe of the Sting era.
How about I counter your question and ask you, would you like a triple threat, Sting, Undertaker and Bray Wyatt?
Now that would be the ultimate WrestleMania moment. I think that would top any WrestleMania matches of all time. That would be number one on my list. I would personally myself get a plane to America, buy a ticket, sell a kidney to be there if that ever happened, because that would be one epic fight. It would just be
once in a lifetime.
That would be
match.
now. That's what we would call once in a lifetime match. Not none of this. Once in a lifetime opportunity. John Cena versus Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and then boom, next year the fight. Only this time was for the title. What's all about once in a lifetime, but that would be once in a lifetime. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Raw. Is Dean Ambrose going to think Bray Wyatt attacking was awesome by the entrance he made, or is he going to respond and call him out and they're going to get it out on Raw? We'll have to see.
Definitely, and on that we will definitely be reporting on that we will be doing a pre-show for Raw and a post-show for Raw.
Yeah, and now to end this broadcast, we have just read up that the WWE will no longer be using the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view between after Royal Rumble, should I say, and before WrestleMania, as the company do not believe is in use to use that pay-per-view no more, as there's only one main title in the WWE at this moment in time, being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and that's being Brock Lesnar. So they want to have a break. The winner of the Royal Rumble gets an opportunity at WrestleMania, so they don't want to have this match in between, because they know who's going to win is going to be the champion, and then they're going to go to WrestleMania, so they're just going to have a break. But don't worry, WWE fans, the Elimination Chamber itself will remain in the company, just not as a pay-per-view. It will be involved in a new pay-per-view, maybe a Survivor Series, TLC, who knows, we will not know until next year. But the WWE have announced that the pay-per-view between WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble will be called either WWE Fastlane or WWE Fast Track. We don't know what's going to happen.
We're not 100%
We're not 100% sure. But we were having this discussion before we came on earlier. Once we found out that this match and pay-per-view was not happening no more, why does it have to be the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match in the chamber? Why can't it be the IC title, the US title, or even the tag team title?
Even the Divas.
Even the Divas, yes, exactly. Spice it up a little. Put the tag team. Why not put the 4 tag teams in it? 4 men in at the same time, one representing each team, and the other 2 men, the other man in the tag team in the pods, and each time another member comes out, maybe you end up with, once the one member gets eliminated, that all the other member is left with all other members of the tag team, or maybe we see all 8 men at once. Who knows? Why not use that instead of just using the WWE World Heavyweight title? Would you like to comment any more on that, Chris?
Yeah, that You would. That's something you want to see. And if any WWE writers are listening, I would take that notepad and pen out and I would write that down.
Just to spice up that WWE tag team division. We haven't seen the tag team division spice up in a long time. We've only seen the Usos and Stardust versus Goldust in the past few pay-per-views.
That's getting boring.
That's getting boring because it's the same thing over and over again. Yes, we'll have Ryback still coming back. We've got Towers O'Neill. We've got Los Matadores. We want, who do you want back? We want the Dudley Boys back.
Dudley Boys.
We do. But ending on that note, we would once again like to thank you for tuning into this podcast. We Talk WWE. Be sure to like, comment about the pay-per-view, and also subscribe us. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WeTalkWWE. I'm Dave McCann. Thank you.
I'm Chris Wilson, and thanks very much for listening.